Good evening. Thank you for joining me for another session of slow stitching. So, welcome. So this piece I'm stitching today is Heaven and Earth design, once again, and this is called Dry Flower, and this is the mini version. So, and I'm also doing the 10 stitch. So it's kind of nice and easy. It's 22 counts and 2/1. And I'm using CXC floss instead of DMC. So this is kind of slightly experimental for me to do 10 stitches. I mostly do 1/1, 25 counts, full cross. But recently, I decided I'm going to try 10 stitches, the half stitches, and I'm really enjoying it. And I really enjoy stitching with CXC floss as well. So today I'm aiming to finish around this area. So I'm showing you the full image here, the mock-up. It's a beautiful image, and it works really well with half stitches, as you can see that you can see the slightly slanted direction of the stitches. So it makes kind of an image slightly almost like a sketch, like a gentle pencil sketch, and I really love it. So I have my coffee ready here. I hope you get your favorite drink as well, and enjoy stitching your project as well. Let's stitch together. CXC floss is really nice and soft. And for those of you who are not familiar with CXC, because I have no idea whether it's available worldwide or maybe just in the UK where I am, but price-wise, it's a lot cheaper than CXC, than DMC floss. So I reserve my DMC floss for 25 counts. I don't want to put it this way, but it's kind of my more serious piece, so to speak. So this one I want to park 2 from the right. It's a bit tricky because I've got my ends right here. So 2 somewhere here. And I'll remove 1, 2. Okay. So I'm ending my threads by parking it away about 10 stitches below minimum, and just allow the remaining tail to be stitched through. Because half stitches, I find it harder to use my normal method of thread ending because it shows sometimes. If I tuck the thread underneath a stitch, that's what I normally do with full stitches, full cross. Half stitches has less coverage in the sense to hide the thread underneath. So I prefer to end it by parking the thread away from the area. And this one I'm going to park just above this stitch here. 3 over here. So in principle, I'm kind of working through row by row and to fill a block first and move on, but I'm not very disciplined at all. Don't be surprised if I start to break the rules and start moving around the fabric. So I think these half cross stitches for me is like palette cleanser from my larger pieces in full crosses. And varieties is the key for me. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 here. It's really lovely. And to see this kind of bouquet flowery area forming is so satisfying. And of course, half stitches by virtue is faster. So you're able to work slightly faster pace. And, you know, as my channel name reveals, I'm not a fast stitcher by any stretch of imagination. And I'm not aiming to be fast as such. For me, it's the enjoyment stitch by stitch. So I'm stitching this way. It requires a little bit more threading, changing colors, but each stitch is really enjoyable for me because you're stitching in an area that's not being crowded by other stitches. Very often it makes the fabric very tight if you have to go back and fill in the stitches that are being circled in the middle. So I'm going to stitch the one below as well. And 2 down here I'm going to park. 1, 2. Good. You know, the reason I started the channel very recently is because I don't know anybody around me that's actually interested in cross-stitching in any shape or form. And, you know, even though I really enjoy that sort of solitude time, stitching away, just looking at the pattern, looking at the floss, the colors, I kind of want to share what I'm doing to whoever may be interested, wherever you are. And I watch a lot of floss tube as well, a lot of Stitch with Me to keep me company as I'm stitching, and also learning from others. Oh, this red is so beautiful. It's a deep, deep, rare, slightly burgundy. And I'm going to part 2 down here. Where am I? Here. And I'm learning so much from other YouTubers in particular. And I would like to contribute to some of that as well, whatever it's worth. And let me know what you're working on, because not everybody's into full coverage projects. And I enjoy sampler as well, but for some reason for the last couple of years, I've been totally sucked in to full coverage pieces. And I haven't really done much sampler type of projects. But there are a couple of, I think it's rosewood manor patterns. One I'm working on, I think I can't remember the title, I should know. Okay, let me just move this thread away so I can stitch this one underneath. So it's a thread management as well when it comes to parking. So yes, I want to reveal the space underneath here, because I'm going to cheat and stitch this one diagonally as well. Trying to go row by row, but occasionally you just want to do that extra stitch. Two, three, and then one more here. Good. I think the reason I'm so drawn to the parking method is that there's something very therapeutic about working with all these tails around, and it may look chaotic if you're not into parking. You know, I know some people, it just can't park, it's just not for them, and I totally get it. When I first saw someone did this, I was so intimidated. I was going, you have to be out of your mind to stitch like this without going mental. And once I tried it, I was so hooked. I was so hooked. And I've been exploring all sorts of parking methods. If you can name it, I've tried it. And I also realized that I'm just not a cross-country person. I do mini cross-country when I'm doing 1/1, 25 counts. There are projects I do mini cross-country, kind of around a block or a little bit. But generally, I don't do, cross-country is just not for me because of all the threads that's going on at the bottom of the work. I just can't take. 1, 2, 3 from the bottom. Let me count. 1, 2, 3. And it's 1. I think. Hang on. 1, 2, 3 from here. I think it's that one. Good. Yeah, because there's so much build-up and floating thread behind the work with cross-country. I just can't bear. I start to hyperventilate and start to panic. So the way I'm stitching, there's very little sort of floating thread, I call it, because everything is stitched down as you move one row at a time in principle. I'm basically edging from the edge. I don't know. I kind of see the main area. It's almost like an island, the main land. And then you're edging away from the edge, so to speak, from the shore. So you don't get floating stitches everywhere that you have to go back and fill in the gaps. And it's kind of important for me because I just don't enjoy trying to go back and fill in those empty stitches. And when you stitch this way, there's a lot of space in between, which is quite nice. So each stitch is spacious, so to speak. It's not, I don't like that tight feeling with the fabric. I love the palette of this design. It's so nice. You know, I love bright colors. I like patterns that's got a lot going on. But it's so nice to have a gentle piece like this one. From time to time, again, is the variation. The palette cleanser. That's what this piece is. Remove this bit. Oh, what's going on with my needles? They're floating everywhere. It's weird, this magnet does this. It just doesn't hold the needles tidy together. Let me switch. Let me have this little kitty. There you go, much better. I always forget about this particular one. I don't know why it does that. Magnets. It's a mystery to me. Good. Thank you, kitty. Much better. So 2 cats. There you go. So let me know what you will like, what your favorite type of projects are. I think it does change from time to time, isn't it? Throughout the years, depending on what you work on. Oh, I've got another one over here. Interesting. I'm going to move over here and stitch this bit because it's attached to the island. And there's the other one. Just realized there's not the same color thread part there, so I'm going to move this one down here. Just move these one over here so it's easier to see what I'm focusing on. Thread management. There you go. So and this one down here. Actually, I'm going to complete this one as well. So I've been watching this lady, lovely lady. I think she's called Stitch Ninja. And she invented this method. She's known for kind of, it's called snake method. And obviously she's very disciplined. So the method is basically row by row from left to right and right to left. So coming down in a kind of snake shape. I don't know why you have to go from left to right. I haven't figured that out. But I know in my heart there's just no way I'll be able to follow that kind of method completely. But what I do like is the fact that as you go row by row down, you also allow yourself to stitch any stitches that's got one above. So that makes the whole thing less restricted. Okay, I'm looking for the color 801. Let me find it. So, and because of that flexibility, it's a lot more, it's a lot less thread changes, color changes. And also the whole thing is nice and tidy, but you don't feel like you're overly restricted, you know. So I think anyone who enjoys any kind of stitching method, we're looking for structures, you know, because full coverage can be so overwhelming. There's so many stitches involved, so many colors, and they'll go in all directions. We need structure. But structure has to be balanced, because you don't want something that is so restricted. It takes away the joy, kind of the joy of stitching. So I've gone sort of two sides of the spectrum. Well, maybe not the other side. I never go wild and going full cross country. Like some people complete one color at a time of the entire piece. Oh, I get, you know, short of breath just thinking about it. I just can't do that because there will be mistakes everywhere. So with this one, I'm actually going to, what should I do? There's one stitch over here on the top, but I'm not going to take it there. I'm going to end it. So I'm going to take it down about 10 stitches and just anchor the thread here. And then chop. Good. And do you use Pattern Keeper? Do you use an app to keep yourself on track with the stitches? I suppose probably most people who have gone into the full coverage world probably use Pattern Keeper. And there's another app called Markup. Is RXP? I do have as well. The pros and cons. If you have a digital pattern, definitely go for Pattern Keeper. It's the best option there. But I use Markup RXP for printed patterns that I had in the past. I scan them, so the app is in terms of interface, user friendliness, is not as good as Pattern Keeper, but it's excellent with scanning paper patterns and turn them into a digital workable version that you could track your stitches. Maybe I'll make a video about that. It's actually quite impressive. So it's got pattern recognition of the symbols. There's a manual intervention you have to kind of do, but it does turn something that's, you know, if you don't like work with paper patterns for large projects like full coverage, then Markup RXP. I probably mess up the name. XPR or RXP, can't remember. It's a great option. There's a free trial. But if you want to use the app going forward, you do have to pay for a subscription. Whereas Pattern Keeper is one-off payment, which I like. But it depends on whether you think it's worth it. I think markup RXP for 1 year, I only know in pounds, British pounds, is I think about 16 pounds a year. I can't remember. So that's for the entire year. So, and I'm really happy there are tools available for stitchers to manage projects like this, because in the past, well, paper was one option, and for a long time I was scanning them to apps like Goodreader. I use iPads and iPhones. So Goodreader, you could basically draw on top, mark on digital scanned images. And I managed that for a while until I discovered Pattern Keeper a couple of years ago. And I actually bought a Amazon, an Android tablet for that, because I'm like a long-term Apple user, never used Android before. But for Pattern Keeper, I literally bought a new device just to use it for that app. I don't use it for anything else. So this one, the stitch over here. And occasionally I have to check the colors, because it's not uncommon for me to park the wrong thread in the wrong spot, wrong color. And again, Pattern Keeper is very good with that. You can just visually check the colors. Let me see. Let me take this one over here. So generally, I want to take the thread once I complete a block. If there's no more let me see, let me count first before I mess it up. 2 from the right, 1, 2 here, and then 1 down. Okay. So generally, if I finish one color within a block, if I could, I take it toward the right. And if there's not, the block next to it does not have that particular, doesn't need that particular color, then I take it down or to the left, because generally I'm going diagonally. Not very disciplined, but that's the direction I'm going. This beautiful red. I'm doing these ones. One more. Okay, fine. 3 over here. It's actually quite late in the evening. Well, it's past midnight actually. I finally have some time to sit down to do a bit of stitching. It's nice and quiet. It's so peaceful. I find it really relaxing to, it's really relaxing to do before sleeping, because it's just gradually it's kind of calming your mind and your brain down and prepare your body and your mind to rest a little bit and have a restful sleep, hopefully. So this one's stitched down, so I think I'm going to clear up some of the tails here. This one I'm going to park. It might look slightly messy, but it's organized chaos. That's how I see it. Good. I'm going to clear these ones off the canvas. And maybe that one as well. I think it's secure and remove all of them. Quite a few stitches here with this color. So I'll stitch these two. This one underneath. So when I started the half stitches projects only a few weeks ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago, I have to remember that I'm actually stitching half stitch, because the habit is to go full cross. So I made a few mistakes there. Occasionally have a few full cross stitches without knowing. So it's a nice challenge to kind of focus. I think I'm do this all three. So every time I go to Heaven and Earth website, I try not to go too frequently because it's very dangerous. Occasionally I was just worried that I'll come across more patterns I want. I really do not need more patterns. I've been starting so many projects, so my attention is kind of spread out. And while I welcome variations, I have many projects ongoing at the same time to keep me interested, but I don't want it to be kind of out of hand to the point that I just go, kind of go all over the place without focusing on anything. So for the past, I say 2 years and a little bit, I'm pretty much doing full cross, 25 counts, heaven and earth projects. And it's very hard to move away from them once you stitch something that looks so intricate and so detailed. So when you do larger counts, I do have a few 14 counts ongoing as palette cleanser as well. I'm just checking whether I've made a mistake here. I think we're good. So let me find a parking spot, like a car. 1, 2, 3. Here. It's very hard to walk away from something that looks so detailed, and do something like 14 counts. So I do have a few projects there. I do from time to time, again, just to, just for a nice change. But it doesn't take long for me to miss these kind of details. I mean, Heaven and Earth charts, the design, they're just charted so well. A lot of times, the worry is that you look at the picture, the mock-up doesn't look like something that of the end product you produce. Maybe the color isn't as smooth, but so far, from my experience, it's been pretty truthful in terms of the markup. I think the markup is probably digital generation of the stitch area, but it's stitch by stitch together rather than a kind of a artistic presentation of the end product. So it's a bit more accurate. Okay, 3778. That's what I need. 3778. Right here. 3778. Here we go. And the great thing about half stitches is that you get to work with 2 strands at a time. And with 2 strands, the beauty is that you can do the loop start, which is everybody's favorite actually, because starting and ending can be either enjoyable or not so enjoyable, depends on the project. It's the ease of stitch versus the end results, because particularly the way I'm stitching, I start and end and change thread quite a lot. So you have to enjoy the process. And I switch my method of starting and ending depends on the type of project I'm doing. And I kind of change my mind in terms of the method I choose as well. Sometimes I more enjoy one way, and sometimes I find the, other type of methods more enjoyable. So it's ever changing. Let me do that stitch. I think that one is done. But I think it's all about quality of the experience. For me, I think speed, yeah, I like to be efficient. Nice to be faster because you get more completion, but there's no point if I don't enjoy the process. You know, if I just start going crazy and do long cross country, it would be probably quite speedy. I think it will probably speed up a lot, but then I end up with a messy back, which I don't like. I don't mind having a some bulk. I mean, bulk sounds like a bad thing, but I don't mind if there's build up of fabric at the back. No problem at all. But as long as everything is kind of tucked down, neat and tidy, without thread flowing everywhere. And more you have threads flowing at the back, the thicker it is to stitch and tighter it is to stitch. So it has direct correlation to the stitching experience. I want every stitch to be enjoyable. That's the whole point. There's no other reason I'm stitching. You know, it's nice to have a completed piece, but to be honest, when you're stitching full coverage, even mini will probably take me years to finish. And that's just the way it is. So what is keeping me here to keep going is the enjoyment of the actual individual stitches. So I'm going to cheat on this bit for a bit because I want to carry the thread to the one on the upper corner of the block. There's only one stitch there. And I don't want to start a new thread just for that. So yes, I'll carry it back. It's not most elegant, but I'm okay with that. Yeah. And do you have a favorite starting or ending method? You know, I've learned so much from other stitchers, and they're sort of hidden. You know, every time I thought, well, I think I've learned every single starting and ending method I can ever find. And lo and behold, you watch another stitcher and they have new tricks. And that brings joy to my heart. And normally what I do is I just immediately rush to my project and start trying it. And some work out better than others. But it just, I'm really excited each time I discover a new stitching method, either it's parking or any kind of methodology or start and ending threads. And also thread floss organization as well. I discovered this lady, I think she may be Russian lady, really lovely. What's her name? I'll dig out her name. I think it's called Stitching Masterpieces or something like that. And oh, I just love her approach. It's so organic and sort of lateral thinking and outside the box as well. And I love it. And I've learned so much on the way she stitches, but also thread organizing methods as well. So let me see, 315. And it's so inspirational when you know that people out there, they're not just following whatever methods that they're taught or learn, they continue to explore new ways of doing things, because otherwise it becomes stale. You know, things become static, and that's why people kind of lose the motivation to come back to stitch. Maybe they've already tried everything, and you just end up thinking that it's all of the same going forward, and these pieces are so big that the end date is eternity. So I think it's a little bit like, stitching is a little bit like yoga. You know, you let go of the expectations and focus on the present moment, on what you're doing here. Are you enjoying it? You know, you have to enjoy it for what you're doing to have any meaning. Are you enjoying it? Every stitch. Every stitch. And not focusing on so much on finishing a piece. I think it's nice to have, but if that's all you're focusing on, perhaps it takes away the joy, because the end date is so far away. And you know, I totally accept that majority of my pieces will not be finished. I don't know. I'm okay with that. I'm realistic about that, and I'm totally okay. I'm just happy that they make some progress. You know, few stitches at a time, little bit at a time, and because the way I'm, the method of my choice, I get to see the image underneath emerging as well. So if you do full cross country, even just by a page, it takes some time to actually see what's going on, what you're actually stitching. But what I love about the way I'm stitching is the fact that, you know, it reveals row by row, a little bit at a time. You get to enjoy the image underneath as you move forward. And also this one's 22 count, so slightly larger. So you create kind of more, slightly larger stitch area comparing to 25 counts. And it's quite nice. It's just lovely. I may have parked this one incorrectly over here. So I'm going to just go ahead and stitch this one here. Doesn't matter. I'll fix the other thread. When I'm done with these ones, one more here. And park underneath. And then this one I part one stitch off. Just take this back. And then there's one stitch over here. I'm going to take the thread to the right, the box on the right. That's one stitch, 3 from the bottom. One, two, three. Here. Lovely. I'm really, really happy with this piece. It's so beautiful. It's a little bit tight here. There's a lot going on here. Let me stitch this one first. Upper corner. So, okay, and then I'm going to end the thread. It's getting really short. And then down here somewhere. There you go. Let me have a sip of my coffee. I know it's quite naughty to drink coffee after midnight, but I just crave for a coffee taste. Coffee and stitching. A match made in heaven. I wish I could do yoga at the same time. Maybe some yoga stitching. I don't know what move, what pose will work with stitching. I have no idea. But, oh, there's a end thread being anchor there, missed. So it's got, okay, let's tidy this up. So there's a couple of end tails here I missed. I think the best way to do it, I'm going to just use a needle to bring them down instead. I don't know how I missed these two. So they get buried by all my part threads. Trying to push them down. Okay, let me cut them off. Very carefully. Ooh, just a little bit more. Good. That will teach me not to do that again. Because I think they were just covered by all the part threads. I didn't notice it. Good. Done. So that one's done. I haven't parked it. So 1 down from here. Good. So the CXC thread that I'm stitching right now, they're it's got very interesting texture. So if you look at them thread by strand, they felt kind of flimsier comparing to DMC. DMC has got more structure when you hold it. This is kind of slightly airy, feathery, and light. But when you actually stitch the thread, the thread on the fabric, it's actually, it feels really full. And I would say it has better coverage than DMC, which is quite surprising. So where am I? I am here. Okay, bring over here. So it's kind of quite an interesting floss to work with if you get a chance. Maybe give it a try. So I'm using CXC thread for these more experimental projects. Just in case I don't like the half stitches, I thought I'd just use CXC because it's much cheaper here in the UK. Yes, good. Have I part the wrong thread again? So this one is, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 here. 4. I think I missed one stitch here. Thank you, Pattern Keeper. There's no way I'm able to manage this without the app. So just one stitch here. One, two. Okay, I'm gonna end this thread because it's getting a little bit short here, a bit awkward to work with. I'm going to end it. So sometimes if I get the color mixed up, or I just part them in the wrong thread and I can't figure out how to fix it, I just end the thread, start fresh. Three, 7, 2, 2, 3, 7, 2, 2. Okay. That looks awfully like the one I just stitched. No, slightly lighter. So color by color, if you compare CXC and DMC, you can see some differences, even though CXC pretty much use the same color chart as DMC, so the color system is identical. But if you compare the colors side by side, you can see some difference for sure. I mean, even DMC depends on the batches. The tones and shades could vary a little bit. And that's just the way it is, you know. It's not static. 1, 2, 3 here. And but if you stick with the same thread without switching. Let's say you don't mix DMC and CXC together, then when the results, I don't think you can tell the difference that much. You still get the same color variations, the shades. I would say CXC colors are a little bit softer. It's hard to describe. The color itself, it's got more of an earth tone to the overall impression when once they're stitched. Whereas I think DMC colors are very vibrant, and a lot of them have a level of almost gloss shine to the floss, which is quite pretty, particularly if you stitch pieces that has a lot of bright colors. You have that beautiful vibrancy to the colors. But I think if you want something that has that earthier tone, I'm not saying the CXC is not vibrant necessarily, but overall, that's my impression. It's got slightly softer, kind of earthier tone to the colors. So, and also it feels very different when you stitch it, surprisingly. And I really enjoy it because it's like stitching, it's very velvety. And also the finish area, when you touch it, it feels very velvety. Whereas DMC, it's a bit more, because the structure of the floss itself, it's, I wouldn't say stiffer, but it's just more, it feels very structured. One strand is one strand. Whereas here, there's almost kind of blending effect with the floss, which is quite interesting. So this last stitch here in this area with this color. So I'm going to park it down, anchor the thread to end it. Before the past couple of years, I was stitching pretty much exclusively with DMC thread. I think I was buying to the idea that DMC is the be all and end all when it comes to these kind of pieces. So I bought a CXC thread actually before I got a full set of DMC. Because of the price, and at that time I felt that this is just a hobby. I can't justify myself. Let me just part this thread, my organizer first. 3731. So I felt I couldn't justify buying the whole set. Over here in pounds is about 350 to 400 with the full set of DMC thread with the new colors as well, but sort of from 1 to 150 included. But that's quite a lot of money for a hobby. And at that time, I had no idea whether I was going to enjoy full coverage or not, and how long I would like it. So I decided to go for a CXC as well, which is much, much cheaper. It's a fraction of the DMC prices over here. Full set without the new colors is, no, I'm not going to stitch this one. It's under £50 if you buy from Etsy. Why do I have a, oh, okay. I think 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I part one off as usual. 1, 2. Where do I get? Oh, never mind. It's normal for me to part my thread in the wrong spot. It's my thing, and I'm okay with it. So, and this one I'm going to take it to the right. So, move them away, these bit away, and I embrace my clumsiness and mistakes. I'm okay with that. And there's one stitch here. I'm gonna just quickly do 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I just wanna, there's one extra stitch here, and then park over here. So sometimes when there's kind of really uniform edges, I just deliberately stitch 1 or 2 away from the edge. Not that I'm really that worried about those lines. I just, yeah, I don't think that happens that much, but still, it makes me feel a little bit better. Let me start from the left then. So I'm not overly OCD, but there are things that I'm kind of important to me. So for instance, the experience of each stitch, you know, I don't like to stitch in a really tight area when the fabric and stitches all crowded together, and you have to try to fill holes on the pattern. That's one. And I also don't like floating thread at the back. So if I carry threads over to a different area, it will have to be unstitched. So when I stitch the area, well, basically, I rarely carry threads. Rarely, I say I don't carry threads over stitch area for more than 3 stitches. 4, I start to panic. So the strategy and the methods that I adapt to pretty much is geared toward for that not to happen, if that makes sense. So as I go off the edge, row by row, stitch by stitch, I don't need to carry thread, really. Definitely not to the stitch area. There's no need for that. So I might take part my thread away, let's say a block. I try not to go over 10 stitches, but sometimes I go slightly far away, but it kind of doesn't matter because, you know, everything's gonna get stitched and tucked down. So yeah, so I'm not OCD, I don't think. I don't think I'm OCD at all, but these are the things I insist on. These are the things that are important to me. As for the starting point of a piece, you can see I go from upper left. It kind of feels natural for me, and I try to keep things you know, kind of diagonal, not strict about that. But I do have pieces that I start from the center as well. So that happens too. So if, let me just pop this one, 3778. So if a piece has got a lot of background or kind of similar colors around it, sometimes I want to go straight to the center where there's most things happening, you know, the exciting part of it, and start from there to give me that motivation, because I don't want to stitch the sky for 2 years before I get anywhere. That's, you know, that's interesting. And I tend to choose pieces that it's kind of have stuff happening from the edge as well. So I don't care how beautiful the images, the design is, but if the whole piece is full of just very similar color palettes, you know, in terms of palette, and also if there's acres and acres of dark colors or bright colors, you know, like sky or ocean or stuff like that, I stay away from them. I stay from those type of design, because I just know they might be beautiful to look at, but there's no way I'll be able to survive the process. It's just not gonna happen. I'll just get frustrated and bored. 3 stitches away, 1, 2, 3, and then 2 from bottom. Okay, here. So you have to be quite realistic about what you know, what's doable, what isn't. And yeah, I've been relatively good with that. I just I want to make sure that you know, I'm able to sustain and continue stitching a piece without getting just overwhelmed or bored. And there's one lady, I believe it's a lady, on Instagram that I follow. I can't remember her name, but she's been stitching this large kind of ancient map atlas for, I've been following her probably for over 2 years from the point of the starting of the project. It's a massive ancient map that has probably about 3 different colors. I'm exaggerating, but it's all very similar colors. I'm going to move this one over here first. They're all brown, black, slightly yellow, earthy colors, and black. Did I say black? Pretty much. I'm sure there are many shades and variations, but overall, the whole map, you know, is an ancient map. So it's very earthy, sort of yellow, brown colors. And she's been stitching it. She captured the progression on her Instagram. She's been stitching the same piece for years, and probably over 2 years now. I don't know how she does it, because I look at it, I start to hyperventilate. I just can't imagine stitching a single piece for 2 years. I don't know whether she has palette cleanser with other, you know, using other pieces. I don't know, but as far as her Instagram is concerned, it's all about the same piece. And to be honest, the amount she's been stitching, I can't imagine she will have capacity to stitch anything else. Ooh. Okay, got caught at the bottom there. Yeah, and it's not just the fact that it's the same piece. Oh dear, what am I doing? It's the fact that the color palettes are so similar throughout, and it's so massive. So it takes a different kind of human being to be able to do that, and I'm definitely not one of them, for sure. I think I have a problem with this stitch. I keep stitching it. Oh no, I got it correctly. I thought I stitched 2 blocks over, like over two stitches by mistake. No, I'm okay. So, you know, everybody's so different. You kind of learn that. And for me, variety is the key. I just have to swap and change, and God knows how many projects I've got that's ongoing. And even with the ongoing projects, there will be a group of them. I stitch more for a period of time and then cycle them through. Depends on what I'm interested. And I allow myself to do that. I just don't think there is anything to win by insisting on stitching a single project. Maybe for some people, if you know, it gives you more motivation to continue. For me, it's the opposite. I don't want to do that, and I'm not doing that. Okay, this one, part down, anchored, ended. Okay, over here. I mean, this is not the most confetti area, but it's got a fair number of color changes. And most of these colors I have parked from the blocks above. So it's just a matter of threading the thread. I don't have to go look for the colors, look for the thread. Okay, so this one, I'm going to take it to the right side. So the great thing about the park threads parking method is that the threads are kind of there waiting for you, which is kind of nice. And then park at the bottom here. But I can imagine if you're, you know, when I first came across the parking method, I was so intimidated just by the appearance of it. It's just the fact that it looks mad. You kind of think, why would you want to do this? Okay, it's okay. I think I probably miss one stitch here. It's okay, no one will notice. You would know if I got one stitch with the wrong color. Okay, this one I'm going to end the thread as well. Okay, here. Fine. This one's done as well. Almost at the end of the row. One more row to go. So the reason I like the block by block method is the fact that there is a kind of mini milestone that you come across, you know, with each block, because these pieces are so vast. Even one page takes a long time to complete. So by doing it block by block, for me, is that in kind of sense of completion, the mini milestones that I can have, it keeps me going. And also when I finish one blog, I don't necessarily follow a certain pattern. I want to keep it reasonably diagonal, but I might jump to a different area to enjoy different colors, so you don't get sort of color fatigue. So this method kind of gives me that freedom to do it. So this one, what have I done? 3722. 3722 here. So normally if I still have some thread on the needles, I would just pop them. I got some felt here on my organizer, and I just thread the needle in and keep the thread threaded until I come back for that color. So it saves a little bit of time. I don't mind threading, but it's kind of nice, and I don't want to waste any thread. I like to use up the thread till it's kind of short or frayed. I don't want to waste anything. And it's nothing to do with the price of, prices of the thread. I just look at these beautiful threads and I just think they need to be stitched rather than thrown away. So I want to use up as much material as I can. Oh dear, what have I done? Why am I... It's so strange. I think I mess up this one. Don't know what's happening here. That's the right color. Oh, I see. Because the one before, that's okay. What I'm going to do, I'm going to cheat big time. You're not looking at this. You haven't seen this, okay? It's my secret move. If I really mess up like this, I'll just stitch over it and hope no one notices. I think we're good. Yeah. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Have I... 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 here. Okay. That was a boss move. You can't see, can you? I've stitched over a mistake. And this one, I think, I don't know what's going on here. Why do I have two together here? 779, it's brown. I don't think either of this is correct. Let's see. I'll check as I go. It's fine. 779. It's dark brown. There isn't dark brown here. Huh. Okay. What's this one? Here we go. So this stitch is from the next block, the block before. Okay. 2 over here. So I'm doing these bits, the bottom row. Two stitches. Skip 2. 1 stitch. And then the last one. So this is where I part these mysterious colors here. I don't know where they come from. I'm gonna just end them in a bit, but I'm gonna just stitch over that. I'll figure out where they come from. I'm gonna snip them out actually. And I'll figure out what they are. Put them back. Good. Just tuck them in. And I'm going to part this color underneath here. Good. No one can see. No. No one will notice. And leave that one out. Pick up this one. And I'm going to end the session once I finish this bottom row. So this one under here. Last bit. I'm gonna make these two the last ones I stitched tonight. take it down actually. Let me have a look. Oh, just one stitch there. Okay. Let me park this over here. Beautiful. Good. So this block almost completed. There are a couple of stitches I need to start new threads, so I'm gonna leave them out for now and pick it up once I get to this area when I stitch down. So very happy with this. It revealed another flower area. That's so beautiful. And I'm going to end today's stitching session and try to go to bed and listen to some yoga nidra and get some sleep. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoy your stitching session as well if you're stitching with me. And thank you for watching, and leave me a comment, and I'd love to hear your views on stitching methods and parking methods, etc. So hope to see you soon, and good night. Bye.